Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. Cases, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Welcome into a new week of the Cam Show here on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week. He's always doing that. He's always just sitting here making sure we are on the air and ready to go. Today, we're talking, of course, nothing but Boston sports. That's all we do here 5 days a week live on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. We're going over, once again, the controversial signing of Tanner Jeannot and why I might have changed my tune, why this might actually be a good thing for the Bruins. At least that's what fans are going to think. Plus, we will look at this Red Sox loss series over the weekend. And once again, was it Alex Cora's fault? Are they in a playoff position right now in spite of their manager? We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how just everything is all peaches and cream with the New England Patriots. They are so good. They're going to win the Super Bowl. It's the best offense in the entire league. Actually, I'm going to poke some holes in that and show you why they might have a new wide receiver one, but it might not be the guy who you think. All that and more coming up on this episode of The Cam Show from the new studio, which was just another corner of the room I was in the other day. In fact, I haven't fully put up everything yet, but I did tell you. Did I not tell you? I told you it's going to be new studio, new backdrop next time you came in. Cam Stewart of The Cam Show delivers once again. We start where we start with the thumbnail. It was a confusing free agency period for the Bruins, especially confusing when they got Tanner Jeannot in the door for 5 years at $3.4 million a year. Didn't make much sense. Everybody around the league was scratching their heads on this one. It was really that deal and the Cody Ceci deal, the two worst of free agency, where everyone around the NHL was saying, what are the Bruins doing? Myself very much included in that. And what I want to take a look at, though, is how Tanner Jeannot can win us over, how Tanner Jeannot can and will be a fan favorite in Boston while taking a look at this entire free agency haul that the Bruins went and got. Almost nobody was more critical of the Tanner Jeannot deal than yours truly. I did several videos on it. In fact, it was one of the best performing shorts we've ever had on Instagram at The Cam Show Show. If you want to find us there, dropping shorts all the time. Got over 100,000 views. People pushing back on this Tanner Jeannot deal, but a lot of people agreeing with me in that it just makes no sense. Like, why did they go in and lock a third or fourth line guy up for 5 years for a guy who can't, like, is physically unable to score 20 points in a season? And I got all this pushback. Oh, hockey's so much more than points. Yeah, the Bruins were one of the worst in the league at it last year, putting the puck in the net, scoring points, scoring goals, having more goals than the other team. They were awful at that. And what they said is we need a guy who cannot score 20 points, cannot register even a point every 4 games in the NHL. That's what they went out and got. They got Tanner Jeannot. And I've been sick to my stomach about it the whole offseason. And yet, Bruins fans are going to love Tanner Jeannot. That's what's kind of the sick, twisted part about all of this. They're going to love Tanner Jeannot. And about a month or two into his time here, we're going to be justifying this deal. We as a collective fan base. Because Tanner Jeannot does actually bring something they haven't had the last few years. I just don't think it's the thing that the Bruins really need. But does he bring a grit? Does he bring a physicality? Does he bring an edge to his game? Absolutely he does. Bruins fans are going to fall in love with Tanner Jeannot pretty quickly and they're going to wish that it was an 8-year deal instead of a 5-year deal. Because all the things the Bruins thought they've had the last couple of years in the physicality department, in the edge department, they have not had. Tanner Jeannot brings that. The guy's a legit staple gun, man. There's going to be great compilations of his hits and his fights that we're going to be playing at the end of the season because it's going to be the only bright spot the Bruins have. And he's going to be playing on a line with a couple of young guys. You know, whether it's Matthew Poitras at the center or Fraser Minton at the center and Fabian Lysell on the wing, he's going to be playing with some young, undersized guys. And he is going to be their Dave Semenko. He is going to be their protector. He is going to be their bodyguard. And it's going to be good to see the Bruins standing up for themselves a little bit. I can't lie about that. I just don't think it's the deal the Bruins were needing. I just don't think it fills the holes that the Bruins had. And it's funny, right before the Tanner Jeannot deal, Edmonton re-signed, extended Trent Frederick, our old pal, to an 8-year deal. Pretty similar in terms of long-term and very low AAV. I think it's 2.2 a year for 8 years. But I'm thinking, who in the hell in their right mind is committing 8 years to Trent Frederick? Really glad the Bruins got out from underneath that one. And then they went out and got Tanner Jeannot for 5 years. And you're like, oh, well, that's a wash. And this, I was thinking of this very recently. And here's why I truly think Bruins fans are going to love Tanner Jeannot. Everything you thought Trent Frederick was, Tanner Jeannot actually is. Like, all jokes aside. They've each had one fluke 20-goal season. That will not happen again. Trent Frederick was 18 and 22 for 40 points in 23-24. Tanner Jeannot was a 24-goal season his rookie year. Neither of those things are going to happen again. But I look at Tanner Jeannot, and that's a dude who has laid out 422 hits in the last 2 seasons. He has laid out over 200 hits in 5 of his 6 full NHL seasons. Actually, 5 of his 6 seasons right there. He's laid out 300 twice. This dude is a legit tough guy. An actual get in the corner, do not fuck with this character kind of guy. Trent Frederick was not that and will never be that. And he seems like a nice guy and everything, but that's literally the antithesis of what I'm talking about here. Trent Frederick was elite at just grabbing guys' sweaters after the whistle and doing nothing. He was top of the league at just grabbing a guy by the collar and hanging on. Not actually getting in a fight, not actually laying out a hit, not actually standing up for his teammates. That was Trent Frederick's MO. And it's been so long since we've had actual pricks on this team that Bruins fans were like, Trent Frederick, Freddie, he's our tough guy. He's not. I wouldn't say he's this great skilled guy. I would say he's the softest guy on the team. But he's not a tough guy. Nikita Zadorov, you brought in, he's a tough guy, right? You have to deal with the penalties and the stick checks and all that crap, being the most penalized guy in the league. But now you've got one in Tanner Jeannot that you can put on the line with the kids and actually stand up for them. Trent Frederick was not that. He will not be that. He will never be that. And I'm glad they traded him. And you replaced one of your small issues in that Trent Frederick wasn't a very tough guy in your bottom 6 with getting Tanner Jeannot. Back to bitching about it, everyone mentions the term when I complain about the contract, or everyone mentions the AAV, excuse me. When I mention the contract, everyone's like, dude, it's $3.5 million. That's nothing on the cap. Someone's probably typing it in the comment section right now as we speak, which is going live on YouTube. And of course, we appreciate you doing it afterwards too. But someone's probably sitting there right now thinking, $3.5 million, who cares? It was never about the money you're paying Tanner Jeannot. Never. Although $3.5 million, you could get someone who can maybe score 20 goals at $3.5 million. But you gave him 5 years. That's what I don't think anybody understands. This dude should have been on his last legs here in terms of what kind of contract he was getting. And the Bruins gave him 5. They outbid themselves for 5 years for a 4th-line guy who's probably going to play on the 3rd line, not because he's gotten any better, but because the Bruins really suck. But I will say this, if you're talking about Tanner Jeannot as a like-for-like change for Trent Frederick, I'll still say you don't need to lock anybody of that caliber down for 5 years. But he is better than Trent Frederick. That's for sure. I think Trent Frederick was one of the most frustrating guys on your roster the last couple of years because you want him to be what Tanner Jeannot actually is. So all that to say, the Bruins fans, you're going to love him. You're going to love him. He's going to lay out some hits. He's going to fight Sam Bennett like Nikita Zadorov did. He's going to knock someone into next week that's really pissing you off. He's going to ride Austin Matthews into the dasher. He's gonna do some staple gun plug shit that we're gonna love. That's how he can endure himself to Bruins fans. And you know what? If the Bruins are a good team again in 2 years and Tanner Jeannot is doing the same stuff at $3.5 million a year, then we're all going to love it. We're all going to love it. So in the very silver lining of this thing, I'm still mad about the deal. I'm still mad that this was your premier free agent signing and arguably the worst in the entire free agent cycle. But if you're looking at the very thin silver lining here, he's better than Trent Frederick, man. He's going to give you more of the muscle. He's actually going to be a bodyguard for these guys. He's actually going to stick up for his teammates, which you just haven't had in a while, let's be honest. I don't know, man. Since Chara was not even here, but even a little bit younger, it's been a minute since the Bruins have had guys that can really stick up for them. Tanner Jeannot is going to do that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Tanner Jeannot actually going to come through for you? And are you actually going to fall in love with his game pretty soon? Let me know. But I do want to look back at the rest of this free agency as we are in the doldrums of the NHL offseason. Everyone says July 15th to August 15th. We're almost there. That's when everybody's on the golf course at their cabins in Canada and the UP and everything and staying the hell away from their phone. So you might have forgotten that the Bruins had a pretty shitty free agency. Pretty shitty. Like the head scratcher, the one that got everybody thinking was the Tanner Jeannot one. But then everything else was equally as confusing. My friends and I, we've called them the vibes signings. Sean Corrali, maybe Mikey Asamon, if you want to put him in there, Andrew Peak to a certain extent, just vibes guys. Like who was begging for Sean Corrali to come back? Who was like, you know what this team really needs after being 28th in the league in scoring last year and finishing 15th in the Eastern Conference? They need to bring back that kid, Sean Corrali. Remember him? Scored the Winter Classic, scored in all those Game 7s. Guy just scored big goals. He scored about 8 of them a year, but that's what we need to bring back. Low risk, sure. But again, a guy you signed multi-years. He's just another fourth-line guy. Michael Asamont, Matej Blumel, the kid from Northeastern. They're all third-pairing defensemen or fourth-line guys. And what really bugs me about that is not just spending money on fourth-line guys, but the fact that you are desperate to have some young, cost-controlled, skill guys. You've been desperate for years, and now you might actually have some that can play at the NHL level, right? Matthew Poitras, Fraser Minton, Fabian Lysell, bit of a waiver, but still, Mason Lowry. And yet, when you finally got a team that stinks enough that you can put them in the lineup every night, you're not trusting them either. You're just, it's been so classic Don Sweeney the last 3 or 4 years. They just will do anything to not give these guys a chance. Because now you pick up Sean Corrali and Mikey Asamont and Matej Blumel. That's taking ice time away from Matthew Poitras and Fraser Minton. That might be taking legit opportunities in the NHL away from Fabian Lysell and Georgi Merkulov. And you'll never find out what you actually have because you just want to bring in these depth guys instead. You want to spend money and bring in extraneous guys from other teams. External is the word I was looking for. You want to bring in external plug guys to see if they can be in the NHL over your own prospects, over the guys that you drafted, over the guys that you traded for in the case of Fraser Minton. All their paths are going to be blocked. These guys need to be playing NHL minutes. They need to be playing with legit NHL guys night in, night out. And instead, you brought in more plugs. That's what I'm really wondering here. When I'm looking at a 21-year-old Fraser Minton, a 22, 23-year-old Fabian Lysell, guys who need to be in the NHL, who have done what they can in the American League, It's time for them to be in the big leagues with the big league players. Does this block their path? Does this block their development? And if the answer is yes, which I think it is, how is that helping the future of your franchise? Because, see, there's two different ways you can go about your bottom six. Two distinctly different ways. And Don Sweeney is trying to do a little bit of both, and as a result, he's not going to accomplish either thing. There's two ways you can treat your bottom six. You can be where the Bruins are at right now, as a bad team with no short-term excitement, and have some prospects who are right on the fringe. Those guys, those prospects should be filling your bottom six. And someone like an Arvidsson or a Tanner Jeannot is on there with them. But mostly it's going to be made up of Fraser Minten, Matthew Patra, Georgi Merkulov, Fabian Lysell. Those guys, and maybe Don Flochmelis at some point in the season. Those guys should be filling out the bottom six spots, and you see what you have. Maybe you hit on some, and a year or two from now, you've got a clear picture of where you need to go, and hopefully by then you're a better team. The second option that you have with your bottom six is bringing in veteran guys who are very cheap. Good teams do that. I've talked about the Panthers a lot. They don't spend any money on their bottom six. They bring in proven NHL guys on one-year deals, vet minimum, not paying them anything, really. And that's what good teams do. That's what the Bruins have done in the past, you know, with Marcus Johansson and Danton Heinen and, you know, this, that, and the other. That's what you do when you have a good team. The Bruins don't have a good team. They do have somewhat promising prospects, somewhat, and they've decided to dip their toes into both baths here, both rivers, both creeks. They've decided to try and do a little bit of both. Let's stunt the growth of our prospects by bringing in these bottom six plug guys who should be signed short-term by good teams. Let's give them multi-year deals and maybe completely block the path for our young prospects making their way in the NHL. That's what doesn't make sense about any of this, about their whole free agency. The Bruins are a bad team, and they're operating like a contending team. They're bringing in multi-year guys, bottom six guys. They're spending up to the cap. If ever there was a time where Bruins fans would be okay with you not spending up to the cap, this is it. You say, look, we made some moves last year. We brought Fraser Minten in. You know, we brought in Yoki Haru. We brought in Marat Hustadinov. And we've got our young guys. We've got Fabian Lysell. We've got Matthew Patra. We've got Georgi Merkulov, who just needs to see if the kid can play in the NHL at all. This is the year you would say that. We're not going to make a big splash in free agency this year. It's not a big free agency year, and we're not in the position to spend and make our team better for 2025-26. We're going to figure out what the kids have. We've got a good prospect coming up in James Higgins. We're going to see what the kids have, and we're going to have a lot of money to go after a really good free agent class next year. A really good free agent class, even if the top guys extend with their own team, which is probably what's going to happen. But instead, Don Sweeney wants to do both. He's got the big brain master plan. He's going to bring in the plugs and pay them and spend up to the cap and take time away from your Husnadinovs, from your Patras, from your Mittens. That just doesn't add up to me. This is not how a good, smart, shrewd hockey team operates. And yet there are the Bruins. It worked when you had a core. You could do stuff like this. You could make the kind of trades that they were making. But the thing about the Bruins, and specifically Don Sweeney, is it's just 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, they do a fire sale at the trade deadline. They're starting over. Everybody in the league can see that they're starting over. And then they treat free agency like they're not starting over. Like they just need a couple more pieces in the bottom six. You don't. You need so much more than that. And then with Don Sweeney himself, it becomes a make or break offseason for Don, as Cam Neely said. And then they extend him before he hires a coach, before free agency, before the NHL draft. So in between this fire sale, finishing in 15th and being a make or break offseason, between that and anything happening that the GM controls, he gets an extension. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Oh, you want to double down on that kind of thought process? How about I say 2-year extension? The lowest possible extension of term that you could have. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's what the Bruins are now. That's how they show us in free agency. That's how they show us in their draft. That's how they show us in extending their GM. They just can't make up their mind whether they're rebuilding or whether they're ready to win. And they give you the bullshit term of retooling. Retooling doesn't exist. It's not in today's NHL, man. You're either rebuilding or you're winning. The Bruins want to be the only team in the league that's doing neither. See how it works out for them. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works. Let me know what you guys think about this Bruins philosophy, about Bruins free agency and how they handled it. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're coming at you live on YouTube 5 days a week, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other videos on the channel talking Bruins, Red Sox, everything else going on in the world of Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. We want to hear from you. And we want you to get us towards 4,000 subscribers. Over 90% of you watching aren't actually subscribed yet. It's completely free, and we're talking nothing but Boston sports, baby. So why not? Coming up next, oh man, you think the front office for the Bruins is effing things up. How about the manager for the Red Sox? Did he lose this series single-handedly? And is it time to worry again? Let's talk about it next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, a chic dress for a night out, or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
Natural Cycles identifies your fertile window by analyzing changes in your temperature. It's the first FDA-cleared birth control app. No hormones, no side effects, and 93% effective with typical use, and 98% effective with perfect use. Just measure in the morning, add your temperature into the app, then learn which days you can and cannot get pregnant. It's that easy. Learn more at naturalcycles.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. Home. There's no place like it. Homes are filled with memories and emotions. OfferPad knows this is your home, not your house. That's why we do what we do. Every day, we aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
And now, back to our show.
Back to our show, The Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air, as he does, 5 days a week. We talked about the Bruins and their confusing offseason and trying to make some sense of it, and why you might actually like Tanner Jeannot. Why you probably are going to like Tanner Jeannot, to be honest, and I'll probably like him at some point too, but I just got to remember 5 years. 5 years. 5 years. I just got to remember that. But looking at the Red Sox, disappointing weekend. We'll also talk about the Patriots, who had a very upside of a weekend, I guess, after preseason week 1. But the Red Sox, man. I hate when the Red Sox go out west late in the summer. It just is never good. I don't have any stats to back this up, but anybody who watches them in the past knows. Like, freaky shit happens on the West Coast late night, these weird games. And it happened on Saturday, and the Red Sox lose the series. It was a chance for the Red Sox to gain some ground, really, prove to some people that they can beat some good teams on the road when they went out to San Diego, and they handled the Padres in game 1. Nick Pivetta had like a sub-2 ERA at home this year. They lit him up. He made him look like Red Sox, Nick Pivetta. And then they lose the next 2 and lose the series. And there were some struggles at the plate. There was at one point 21 strikeouts in 15 innings. Some struggles with the bullpen. But really, this series loss is on Alex Cora. Alex Cora lost them that game on Saturday 100%. And that's tough to say to most people when you look at Lucas Giolito's line in that game. But he was left out there to die for some reason that was totally beyond me. The Red Sox are up 3-1 in this game, early in the game. They manufacture some runs. They get one, I think, on a wild pitch. They get one on a balk, and they're up 3-1. And then the 4th inning happens, okay? On a day where the Yankees won and Toronto lost, the Red Sox completely pissed away a chance. Giolito leaves the game in the 4th inning after 4 straight walks. How many walks in a row do you need to see before you pull the dying duck? For Alex Cora, this great manager, it was 4. Oh, yeah, the last 2 came with the bases loaded. And you went from 3-2 up to being 4-3 down without a ball even being put in play. And this comes off a night before where the Red Sox used 1 high leverage guy for 2 outs. They had their leverage guys ready in the bullpen. And Alex Cora says, let's wait. Let's see if he figures this out. He wasn't very good going into the 4th inning, and then he completely implodes, and Alex Cora is just watching it. After the 3rd walk, he gets on the phone. And 2 weeks ago, the excuse would have been, well, Cam, you don't have a long guy. You don't have a long relief guy. Except now you do. You went and traded for one at the trade deadline. And that was the guy they brought in. Steven Matz could have been up with, 1 batter into the 4th inning, 2 batters after one of the walks, after the walk in the wild pitch. But no, they wait till 3 walks in, including a run being walked in. And then they get Steven Matz warming. And then it's 4 in a row, and you're losing. And with San Diego having the best bullpen in all of baseball, the game's essentially over. Essentially. But the Red Sox are that good. Roman Anthony is that good. Ground rule double, ties the game in the 9th inning. And then, the most frightening 9 words in the English language. Boston Red Sox will now play extra innings. Shout out friend of the program, Liam Fennessy, for tweeting that out. The 9 scariest words that you can hear. The Boston Red Sox will now play extra innings. Because I'm hoping by year 9 of his managerial career, Alex Cora will finally figure out how to work extra innings. You'd think year 8, maybe that's a little bit too ambitious. Year 9, next year, is when he'll hopefully figure it out. Because they still don't get it. And it's this whole bullshit, gotta grab 2 kind of mentality. But you've got your ghost runner at second base, and you've got David Hamilton at the plate, batting in either the 4 or the 5 spot. I can't remember which one he was batting in. But if he's batting anywhere higher than 8th, that's a mistake. But he came in as a runner, didn't do his job there, and then comes in as a pinch hitter. And the bunt sign is on. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with small ball, especially when you've got a guy like Whitlock, who had pitched the night before, but very little. He could have came in and closed out that game. Okay, fine. You get one run, at least. Like, I don't know why every team isn't starting with the bunt with the ghost runner at second base and with a guy like David Hamilton at the plate. But what's so bad is with 2 strikes on him, they keep the bunt sign on because he's that bad a hitter that you have no confidence in him doing anything else but trying to get down this bunt. And David Hamilton proves exactly why he was sent in there to bunt in the first place. Because he can't do anything. Can't do anything right. He bunts it foul, and he's out. Brother, Little League coaches don't keep the bunt sign on with 2 strikes. Alex Cora does because he's big brain. Really big braining it. David Hamilton fouls out. And here's the great dichotomy of the game of baseball. Whose fault is that? Is it the fault of Alex Cora for keeping a bunt sign on with 2 strikes, knowing how risky that is? Or is it the fault of a fucking Major League Baseball player who can't get a bunt down? A guy who literally gets paid in the millions of dollars over his career and gets paid to play baseball as a living, as a full-grown adult in the major leagues that can't get a bunt down. Can't even do that right. Whose fault is it? Of course it's both of their faults. Of course. But it's just another example of an extra innings managerial decision that does not go their way. They never go their way. And it's starting to feel like the Red Sox are almost winning in spite of their manager. That was a disaster class by Alex Cora on Saturday. An absolute disaster. One of his worst games of the season. And yet the Red Sox still almost won it. Which really, really brings me back. Brings me back to a different time in Red Sox history. The way they're winning games in spite of their manager brings me right back to 2017. Where the Red Sox just had talent out the ass. They had won the division the year before. They got better in the offseason, and yet they weren't as good. David Ortiz retired, but you got Chris Sale. You got a full year of Andrew Benintendi. Like, there were tangible things that showed this team got better going into 2017, and yet they got worse. They won the division still. They made the postseason. They even won a playoff game, but they bowed out in the first round again. And all summer long, we were talking about how it was winning in spite of John Farrell, a guy who just can't tell his ass from his armpit, and yet they were still winning. And remembering being like, man, this guy's on such borrowed time. He's going to be the first manager ever to be fired after back-to-back division titles. And he was. And the irony in all this, the young, smart manager they brought in to correct that led the next year's team to be the best Red Sox team ever and win the World Series was Alex Cora. Completely changed how they managed in game, and it worked like a charm. But there has to be some writing on the wall here for Cora. Do I think he's a good manager? Yeah. Do I think he's a great manager? A very good manager? I don't know how I can say that at this point. I don't know how we can do that. You know, we drag the GMs through the mud when the teams finish in last place, but we can't do it for the manager. Like, he's got 3 last place finishes on there. He's got a couple of super disappointing seasons in there. You know, his first year was the greatest Red Sox team ever. The next year, they won 35 less games. 35 less games. They won 35 less games in 2019 than they did in his first year in 2018. And there's been one positive season since then. I just don't understand these Red Sox fans who will not at all critique the manager. If you saw what happened on this Saturday, which literally becomes the difference in winning and losing a crucial series, and Alex Cora puts out that disaster class, waits for Lucas Giolito to walk in 2 runs before going and getting him out of there, and then seeing this Padres bullpen just shove it down your throat the rest of the game, But then I don't know what we're doing if we can't critique that. That was a poorly managed series from Alex Cora. And you wonder how many more of those are left, because the Red Sox are going to be fighting and scratching and clawing here to get in the postseason. They've got 43 games left. And if they go 500 there, they still reach 87 wins. But is 500 enough? I don't think it is. I don't think 87 wins is enough in this race that you've got going right now. The Yankees gained ground on you this weekend. And now you go into Houston, a team that doesn't get swept a lot. You swept them last weekend. You go to Houston, and you need to win the series just to salvage a 500 road trip and still feel good about yourselves going into a weekend series against the Marlins at home. Finally, the schedule is going to let up a little bit with Miami and then Baltimore. But Miami just swept the Yankees, man. Like, you can't go in thinking like that. And right now, I think this Red Sox team is slipping just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not writing them off. But I think this Red Sox team slipped this weekend because of their manager. What do you think about Alex Cora? Do you think he's actually bringing this team down just a little bit? Or am I totally wrong on this? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're coming at you live every day, live on YouTube, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcast. Check out the segments going out on YouTube every weekday as well, talking Bruins, talking a lot of Red Sox, talking everything going on in the world of Boston sports. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. We need your help to get there. Like, subscribe. It's completely free. And about 90% of you watching on average are not actually subscribed to the channel. So go ahead, do that. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week. When we come back, we will run through Strawberry Fields forever, man. Everything is gorgeous surrounding this New England Patriots team. And they might have even found a new top weapon for Drake May this offseason. But it's not the guy that you're thinking. All that coming up next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AmPace.
AmPace.
And now, back to our show.
Back to the show, The Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeping us on the air as we talk Boston sports, baby. Every weekday live on YouTube, noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other segments, videos going out on YouTube. I highly encourage you to. We've talked about the Bruins, talked about the Red Sox. Now, man, it's football season. Man, the Patriots are back, baby. Super Bowl this year, right now. Ben Woldridge. Yeah, Efton Chisholm, this Patriots team, look out. They just crushed the team that went to the NFC Championship game last year, 48-18 in Foxborough. Well, they crushed the guys who carried the luggage for the team that made the NFC Championship game last year, the Washington Commanders. But it's been a pretty good week of practice and joint practices, and things are looking up for this Patriots team, and they score 48 on a night where Drake May only plays 2 drives. Everything's going well in New England, guys. Everything is great. 48 on Washington. Travion Henderson, 100-yard kick return touchdown. Drake May rushing touchdown. Did have a pretty bad fumble in that game too, and I think that's a pretty big concern, his ball security. Alex Barth said Kyle Williams' game was the best game ever by a wide receiver who didn't catch the football. So put that down in there. Another preseason record, Jacoby Brissett, now Kyle Williams. Efton Chisholm's the next Edelman. Lan Larison broke his foot, still scored a touchdown, went right under the IR. Everything is great, great, great with this Patriots team. And to add on to that, they have a new wide receiver 1 for Drake May. Yeah, Stephon Diggs, I'm in. Not so fast, my friend. The new wide receiver 1, Pop Douglas. DeMario, as he's known to his mother. Taylor Kyles went out and said Pop Douglas looks like wide receiver 1 in joint practices so far. Taylor Kyles also said the Patriots would win 12 to 13 games this year. So take that with a humongous grain of salt. But Pop Douglas is super interesting to me. I'm still waiting for more of a breakout. But then again, he's only been in the league 2 years. He's had some of the worst quarterback play in football in those 2 years that he's been in the league, outside of a couple of nice weeks for Drake May. And they've had the worst offense in the league in the 2 years that he's been in the league. Is this finally the chance for Pop Douglas to break out? Because now you actually do have a guy on the outside in Stephon Diggs who can stretch the defense a little bit. That does wonders for a slot guy. It's not all you need, but that does wonders for a slot guy. And I talked about Travion Henderson last week being a secret to this Patriots offense. Why? Because of how important the pass catching back is to Josh McDaniels. Every great Josh McDaniels offense has had the prudent pass catching third down back, right? Kevin Falk, James White, Danny Woodhead in the Bill O'Brien offense, but still pretty similar and very effective. Dylan Lewis, Shane Vereen, the list goes on and on and on. If I'm going to talk about a Josh McDaniels offense, though, and what makes it successful, I need not look any further than the slot receiver. How many guys can we name there? Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. These guys who were probably Jags in other places, who become all pros in the case of Wes Welker, become NFL legends in the case of Edelman and Amendola, making catches at the biggest possible moments in the biggest possible football games. If there's one position to highlight in the Josh McDaniels offense and what makes it click, it is the slot receiver. Your slot receiver is Pop Douglas. And look, McDaniels has changed the offense on occasion, right? The 07 offense was unlike anything we've seen before or since, really. 2018 offense became a power running team running between the tackles. But for the most part, when you look at 16, 14, 13 with the running backs hurt, like those successful Patriots teams, 2021, it's mostly the same, right? Pass catching, third down back, elite slot receiver, 2 tight end formations. That's mostly what the Patriots are going to have this year. And this is where Pop Douglas can really shine, I think. Because you have a legit threat on the outside, Stephon Diggs, that will demand some attention, demand some coverage. And you might have a dance partner as a slot receiver. I poke fun at the whole Efton Chisholm's going to be the greatest player ever thing, but he has been impressive. They're marveling at his practice. He had the best play at practice twice in the last week. He scored a touchdown in the preseason game for whatever that's worth. And so you might actually have just enough weapons on this team to finally let Pop Douglas shine. And I say finally. The kid did catch 66 balls last year. Okay, he had 3 touchdowns, which for this Patriots offense is nothing to scoff at. Caught 76% of the balls that came his way. All right, like that's pretty good for an offense that you were talking about last year that was brutal. And an offense that, by the way, did look better in the preseason and has looked better in these practices. Like, I know it was going up against the Commanders' number 2s, but look, they snapped the ball correctly. They didn't jump off sides on offense. Remember last year, that game against Washington, preseason week 3, when they'd say, offsides, once again, offense wasn't lined up, left tackle Chuks Okorafor. They were doing the little things right. In fact, the guy who did the little things wrong was Drake May, not taking a sack and instead fumbling the ball and kind of laughing it off after the game. And Mike Vrabel being like, no, that was horrible. That was a really bad decision. We got to go over that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any kind of optimism with this Patriots team, but I don't know how much better this offensive line got. Will Campbell looked really good in run blocking, left a little something to be desired in pass protection. Jared Wilson, the rookie they got out of Georgia, had a bad game in preseason week 1. It is preseason, I know. But I'm wondering if Drake May does not have the ball security to really elevate this offense. And that's something I've worried about all offseason long. I like Travion Henderson. I like Pop Douglas. I like Efton Chisholm. I like Stephon Diggs. And I like Drake May a hell of a lot. He is your quarterback. He is your guy. But he's barely 22 years old. And he had these problems in college. He worked on the mechanics and the footwork, and it was way different this past year than it was his last year at North Carolina. And that was the first thing he needed to fix. But now he's got to fix the ball protection. Because I see enough bright spots on this offense that I'm sitting there thinking maybe this offense can be better than I think. Maybe they can win some games because they're actually going to score more points than the other team, not just because they have a top 10 defense. But if Drake May is not going to do those little things, then we're probably waiting another year for that. And maybe that's fair. Maybe he needs another year of development for this Patriots offense to really take that next step. But I was a bit discouraged by that. Is Pop Douglas his wide receiver 1? I know what I think. I think that's a real possibility. Especially with Stephon Diggs on the injury. With the injury, I should say. Coming off the injury. Right? He's not going to be 100%. He's past the age of 30. He wasn't going to be 100% to begin with. But he does demand that attention from a defense. That could open up some things for Pop Douglas to be your wide receiver 1. Could open up some things to keep Efton Chisholm on this team. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is Pop Douglas going to be wide receiver 1 for Drake May? Or is it just going to be Stephon Diggs and I'm just overthinking it? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're coming at you every weekday live at high noon Eastern time on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Over 90% of you are not actually subscribed to the channel. We are well on the path towards 4,000 subscribers, but we need your help. It's completely free and it helps me keep my job. So like, subscribe, get involved in that comment section. Check out the other videos we got all over the YouTube channel talking Patriots, Bruins, everything else going on in the world of Boston sports here 5 days a week. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. We will see you on the next edition of a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Sains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit toussains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.